In the summer of 2025, Turkey faced one of its most devastating natural disasters in recent history. What began as scattered fires quickly escalated into a nationwide crisis that would test the limits of human courage and resilience. From late June through July 2025, Turkey battled an unprecedented wildfire emergency. 90 separate fires erupted across 12 provinces, consuming over 86,000 acres of land, an area larger than many entire countries. The numbers tell only part of the story. Over 50,000 people forced from their homes, entire villages evacuated, and a death toll that would ultimately claim the lives of heroes. But this wasn't just about statistics. This was about communities torn apart, families separated, and a nation watching helplessly as flames devoured everything in their path. The crisis reached its peak when fires threatened Bursa, Turkey's fourth largest city. For the first time, a major urban center faced the very real possibility of being consumed by the advancing flames. What created this perfect storm of destruction? The answer lies in a deadly combination of extreme weather conditions that turned Turkey's landscape into a tinderbox. Temperatures soared to record-breaking heights, some areas reaching 50.5 degrees Celsius, the highest temperature ever recorded in Turkish history. The heat was relentless, day after day, with no relief in sight. But heat alone doesn't create wildfires. Humidity levels plummeted below 15% in many regions, sucking every drop of moisture from the vegetation. Trees, bushes, and grasslands became natural kindling, waiting for the smallest spark. Then came the winds, fierce, unpredictable gusts that could change direction in an instant, turning a contained fire into an unstoppable monster. These weren't gentle breezes. These were powerful forces that could spread flames across kilometers in mere hours. A local resident from Osmaneli village witnessed firsthand how quickly nature could turn against them. It surrounded our village from 3 sides. They couldn't intervene. There are no roads, thick forest, rocky areas. It spread very quickly, also due to the wind. This village, which had never seen a fire of this magnitude in its entire history, was suddenly fighting for survival. Behind every evacuation order was a human story. Families forced to make impossible choices. What do you take when you have minutes to leave everything you've ever known? In Izmir province alone, nearly 10,000 hectares were consumed by flames. Entire neighborhoods became ghost towns as 50,000 residents were temporarily relocated to safety. Schools, stadiums, and municipal buildings were transformed into emergency shelters. But some couldn't escape in time. An elderly citizen who couldn't be relocated perished in Izmir. A construction worker lost his life while desperately trying to create fire breaks, barriers designed to stop the fire's advance. Yet amid the tragedy, there were moments of extraordinary heroism. In one of the most powerful images from the crisis, rescue workers carried an elderly man to safety as flames surrounded his house. One rescuer carried the man's wheelchair, while another carried the man himself up the stairs, away from the advancing fire. These weren't trained soldiers or professional athletes. These were ordinary people, neighbors, volunteers, local workers, who risked everything to save others. The physical destruction was staggering. Houses collapsed, leaving only scorched walls and smoke rising from gutted remains. Olive groves that had been cultivated for generations were reduced to ash. Agricultural facilities that supported entire communities were wiped out. But the most heartbreaking chapter of this crisis was yet to come. In Eskişehir province, 10 brave souls would make the ultimate sacrifice in service to their country. 5 forestry workers and 5 members of the Evacuation rescue organization were battling a fierce blaze when the unthinkable happened. The wind suddenly shifted direction, and the fire that they had been fighting turned on them. In an instant, these heroes found themselves surrounded by the very flames they had been trying to contain. They tried to escape, running uphill, but the fire moved faster than any human could. A witness described the tragic scene. They were fighting with it above the hill while we're fighting at the bottom. They tried to escape the fire running uphill, but they couldn't manage to do it. These weren't just statistics. These were fathers, sons, brothers, people who had dedicated their lives to protecting others. Their sacrifice brought the total death toll to 13, but their courage inspired a nation. 14 other rescuers and forestry workers were hospitalized. One injured firefighter, barely conscious, could be heard whispering to his colleagues, "I need cold water. Pour water all over me." President Erdogan issued a message of condolence, stating that these victims had fought to protect forests at the cost of their lives. 2 prosecutors were assigned to investigate the incident, but no investigation could bring back these heroes. Even as the nation mourned, the battle continued. Over 3,000 personnel from AFAD, the Turkish armed forces, and NGOs remained actively deployed across affected areas. Help came from unexpected places. Spain, Croatia, and Azerbaijan sent aerial resources, including amphibious aircraft, coordination teams, and ground support. The European Union's Copernicus Emergency Management Service issued risk advisories, warning that fire-prone weather would continue through early August. But fighting wildfires isn't like fighting a conventional enemy. Helicopters couldn't operate at night, giving the fires precious hours to spread unchecked. When dawn broke, crews would discover that flames had advanced kilometers while they waited helplessly in the darkness. Technology became a crucial ally. Fire surveillance using drones and satellite monitoring was expanded to detect and prevent flare-ups. Every hotspot was tracked, every wind change monitored. Rural residents didn't wait for official help. They created manual fire breaks with their bare hands, used irrigation systems to slow the flames, and relocated livestock to safety. Agricultural cooperatives supplied fuel and water tanks. Volunteers ranging from students to retirees assisted with supplies and cleanup. The dedication was extraordinary, but so was the toll. Firefighters worked around the clock in hazardous conditions, their faces blackened with soot, their eyes red from smoke, their bodies pushed beyond normal limits. As the immediate crisis began to subside, Turkey faced a sobering reality. The fires were contained, but the recovery would take years, perhaps decades. Reforestation efforts would need to span generations. Infrastructure rebuilding would require massive coordination and resources. Long-term aid for displaced families and farmers would test the nation's resolve. Scientists attributed the rapid spread and intensity of the wildfires to ongoing extreme weather conditions, with many pointing to human-induced climate change as a contributing factor. This wasn't just a Turkish problem. It was a preview of challenges facing the entire world. But perhaps the most important recovery would be emotional. How do you heal a nation that has watched its heroes fall? How do you rebuild communities that have lost everything? The answer, it seems, lies in the same spirit that drove those 10 heroes to their ultimate sacrifice. It lies in neighbors helping neighbors, in communities coming together, in the understanding that some things are worth fighting for, even at the ultimate cost. Turkey's wildfire crisis of 2025 will be remembered not just for its destruction, but for the extraordinary courage of ordinary people. In the face of an unstoppable natural force, they chose to stand and fight. Some paid the ultimate price, but their sacrifice ensured that others would live to rebuild, to replant, and to remember. May their souls rest in peace, and may their bravery and commitment be honored with the utmost respect.